Well, this is back when I was living in Nottingham, and I was doing an evening class in Buddhism, I think, at the time. So learning the basic principles of Buddhism, and uh, so that's where it happened. And I ran into somebody who was on the course with me, and that was where the conversation happened.
Right. So what was it? What opened up? What was said?
Well, I started talking to this chap who was also attending the classes, and I said, "So, what do you do for a living?" And at the time, I was in a job and really not not really enjoying the whole world of jobs, and now I make my living helping people not have a job, make a living without a job, and but at the time, I couldn't see any alternative. So I asked him what he was doing because he seemed to have a very interesting life, and he said, "Oh, I travel. I take photographs. I've just come back from Tibet. I sell my photographs, and then occasionally during the season, I run whitewater rafting." And what actually happened was I got a bit angry with him, and I blurted out, "Well, haven't you ever had a proper job?" And he just very calmly said, "No, I find that if I have a job, I don't have enough time for myself." And he said it so calmly, without emotion or considering I was being a bit um, argumentative with him, that it really something really struck me, and that just opened a kind of crack in my thinking about what
So
I could do with my career.
so sorry. When you say that opened a crack, was it the words or his way of being?
Well, I think it was like some of your other conversations. It was the fact that he said something, but I knew was inside of myself, but I hadn't identified. So the idea that I just never wanted a job, and that when you have a job, you don't have enough time for yourself. You don't get time to think and breathe and just be with yourself. And he just nailed it and accepted that as his life, and that he would never have any, he would never take any alternative. And that kind of um, was quite shocking. And I think my theory is that a lot of people, when you see them commuting to work that they don't enjoy, and of course some people do enjoy their work, but an awful lot of people on the tube in the morning in London, for instance, look pretty miserable, drinking coffee, eating chocolate bars, and doing all sorts of other things to kind of self-medicate themselves to the point where they can go to work and face a day at work. And and I think the only way you can do that is if you convince yourself that's the only option. So when someone comes along and says, "Oh no, no, I just don't like that. I actually don't want that at all. I never have wanted it." It's quite shocking, or it was for me at the time. If you know that you also don't want it.
So he was actually naming the thing that you really wanted for yourself.
Yeah.
And you said something interesting just before we started recording about how people maybe often see something in others. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, what I noticed is when I first moved to get out of the world of employment and work for myself, that a lot of people were very supportive, but some people got angry because, again, if you can only get by convincing yourself you have no option but to do this miserable job and commute every day and so on, then it's quite annoying when someone points out actually that's not the case. And I think that it's a universal thing that we are irritated by, as I was back then, by that thing that we've denied ourselves.
Right. Have you ever told him that he had this effect?
No, I can't remember who he is now. He probably, I'm sure he never didn't think again about my barbed comment. Probably never crossed his mind.
Isn't
Uh,
that funny? Isn't that amazing that you can have a conversation that's so important to you, but you think probably the other person didn't remember what 5 minutes later?
yeah, and I suspect that's the way with all of us. We've all said things, in an offhand way, and I suppose it's when you're being authentic and when you're embodying who you are and you're presenting yourself as you really are, that has the most effect on people. And you can do that without even trying. You can do that, every day when you're just buying a sandwich. And something about the way you do it and the way you interact with people get something across.